Hello, everyone. This is Charles Walter Buntjer coming to you from San Francisco. This video, I'll be celebrating my 78th birthday in 2018 in, of all places, Sicily. This was not supposed to be on our tour, on our Viking ship itinerary. Now, there's two important things that this video will contain. One is how we ended up in Sicily. The other is having my birthday dinner at the chef's table, which was $100 and a rather disappointing meal. We got on the ship and they decided that they were going to stay in port for the next day. So my friend Virginia and I decided to take the bus tour downtown to Rome. We went around the suburbs, we saw the Colosseum and the ruins of Rome and all that sort of thing. And then we ended up a few blocks from the Vatican. And we walked over and took some photos in front of St. Peter's Cathedral. It was closed for preparations for some holiday, but I'd been in there 40 years ago on a private tour with a California preacher of all things, or I should say a priest, and he took me all around and up into the dome and on the top and then onto the roof where they were doing construction. So I had a personal tour from a priest from California. Who could have asked for more? So anyway, after we took pictures, we got on the bus and went back to the ship, and then the ship sailed off to Sardinia. Now, I thought maybe I was going to have my birthday there. We sailed up and down the coast, and the captain came on and he said, "We can't land at the port because the waves are way too high." "Oh, okay, fine." He said, "We're going to go to Naples." Ooh, I said, "This is fabulous," because I haven't been to Pompeii. So I was all set to go to Naples and Pompeii since I'd already been to Rome, Florence, Venice, and Milan. So I was really excited. Well, we got to Naples and the captain came on and he said, "Seas are way too high." So he said, "Guess what? We're gonna go to Sicily. At least there we can get into the port." So off we sailed to Sicily, and we landed that evening in Sicily, of all places, which was not on the itinerary. And we had the entire next day to visit the island. Now, Palermo is a small town. Well, most of them on the islands are small towns, but very nice. And on the water, of course, the Mediterranean Sea, and lots of interesting buildings and things. And you can see in the side streets lots of people bartering and coming in from the countryside, growing their vegetables and fruits and all that sort of thing. And we went up the steep cliffs overlooking the city, and we went to see the Rosalia monastery and a huge cave where she supposedly in the 1500s lived. And there's a little stream of water in there. And of course, some priest went over and shook his beads over it. So now it's holy water. So when you walk in this huge cave, there's places to buy holy water in little glass vials, and there's Bibles to buy, and there's bookmarkers with Rosalie's name on it, and on and on. So it's a moneymaker also. We also toured around the island and we saw in the distance the town where Joe DiMaggio's parents lived. Now, Joe DiMaggio was the top baseball player and he married Marilyn Monroe. And when I was living in San Francisco initially, he bought a restaurant at Pier 39 or Fisherman's Wharf, and she used to come to the city and they would go to his restaurant. She went to the big stores on Union Square and always wanted to buy the latest fashions. The women who worked there were shocked. She went in to try a dress on. She took her dress off and she had nothing underneath it, no bra or panties or anything, and just put on the dress. And she said she didn't need to have anything under there. And they all agreed that she had a fantastic body for somebody who was around, 28 years old or 30. So much for that. It was interesting when Napoleon decided to invade Europe. He went to Italy, and in Naples, the king was so afraid he escaped because he didn't have the troops to fight Napoleon, and he went to Sicily. The people there were so happy that the king decided to stay there. They gave him extra land for free, and he could build a hunting lodge. And then he eventually put in grapevines also, a vineyard and hunting. And he designed the hunting lodge in the style that was prevalent then, the Asian, Japanese, Chinese style. Good to be king, isn't it? Now we come to the big dinner. Normally, I don't want to spend extra money because we get such good meals on the ships. But my friend Virginia always wants to spend extra money on so-called extra food, fine food. So for my birthday, we went off to the chef's table. Now, I couldn't help but laugh when you go through here and look at what the descriptions of the foods are. The first thing we had was a little cup glass that had about 8 berries in with a little poof of foam on the top. I guess that was supposed to be cleaning your mouth out for the main course. I think it contained 2 spoonsful or 3 of berries, and that was it. Then we got the soup, which was ox bone or whatever, oxtail. And this huge plate came out with half a cup of broth in it. Good thing there was lots of bread around. Then we got the main course. Well, of course, we had trouble figuring out what was going on. they said it was potato mash. Where was the potatoes? Oh, there was a little spot on the table, on the dish, about 2.5 inches across and a third of an inch thick, maybe. And on top of it was lamb, a little piece about 2 inches by 1 inch high. There were three of those. One straggly carrot with a leaf on it. It was called carrot medley. Huh? So anyway, that was the main course. We were not amused. Now I don't have a picture of the next course, which was another little glass cup with a couple of, I think it was foam in it with a little, I don't know, vodka or something in it to clean the palate for dessert. Dessert came out and it wasn't actually too bad. It was a brownie and very good ice cream. But then, of course, after that, they came out with a birthday cake for me. And the crew came around and they all sang happy birthday to me and stuff. But the thing is, we already had brownies and now we're going to have cake. But that was all right. Now, a funny thing happened. We were sitting there looking at our plates with nothing on them. And across from us was a couple, and they said, "Hi, where are you from?" We said, "San Francisco." They said, "Oh, we're from Napa." We said, "Oh, do you have a vineyard up there?" And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Is it near the train station or whatever?" And they said, "Yeah, it is." I said, "Oh, maybe I've been there." So anyway, we chatted away, and then suddenly they looked at us and they said, "Oh my God, have you ever had such wonderful food in your life?" And we looked at each other and thought, who are these fools? This is ridiculous. The food isn't that good, and there isn't anything of it anyway. It's just supposedly artistically put on the plate. But we smiled and said, "Yeah, it's really wonderful." But of course, we looked at each other, and Virginia and I, we went like, "Give me a break." But anyway, it was a wonderful trip, and we had a wonderful time. And eventually, we did go to Sardinia, and then Algeria, and then we went over to Spain and Portugal. So it was really a great trip. But talk about birthdays, just so funny. You may wonder when you were viewing the videos that I took why the corner had this in it. Well, what happened was I didn't think about it, and I put this bottle of Brut next to the camera, and I was ready to have a big toast after I got through with this birthday in Sicily. So if you wonder why you have this in the corner of your screen all the time, it's because I didn't realize it and didn't take time to check the photo as I was doing, or the video as I was doing it. So goes life in the fast lane. Enjoy.